I know people are still joining, but I would just like to welcome everyone and thank you for coming to this roundtable. We're up to about 20 participants. As we progress throughout the roundtable, feel free to drop questions in the Q&A function. If you have any technical issues or need any help connecting, please always feel free to reach out in the chat. But if you have any questions about the subjects today, please direct those to the Q&A.
Thanks so much, Kristen, and we'll get started maybe in about 2 more minutes just to give some folks some time to get in, but thanks again. All right, so we can go ahead, Kristen, and get started. First of all, as Kristen mentioned, we'd like to welcome everyone to our Criminal Attorney Application Roundtable. My name is Robin Dillard-Rusaw. I am the Director of the Indigent Defense Services Department here in the county. And as we go through this presentation today, we'll explain exactly what Indigent Defense Services, who we are, and what we're about. For purposes of this criminal application roundtable, we really wanted to give assigned counsel currently working in Wayne County, as well as potential assigned counsel insight into the process of the application for the 2022 calendar year. So again, thank you so much for coming. The Q&A is open for questions as we go throughout this presentation. So please feel free to drop a question in that chat box and we will go ahead and answer them as we can, either via the Q&A or out loud if it's on particular subject matter that we're covering. So Kristen, next slide, please, if you could. So just by way of introduction, as I stated, my name is Robin Dillard-Rusaw, and with me today, we have Viola King, our assigned counsel administrator, Kristen Lavoie, the training director from NDS, Angela Peterson, one of our attorney administrators for our investigator expert program, Neil Leithauser, one of our attorney administrators for the investigator expert program, and Jill Tynes, our IT manager from Indigent Defense Services. Next slide, please. And so before we get started and we turn it over to each one of the panelists, just a brief overview of who Indigent Defense Services is within the county structure. If you did not attend our roundtable initially back this summer, where we went into great detail about the department and the MIDC, just for a quick overview here, we are the department responsible for indigent defense system reform within the county structure. We are the department that is grant funded by the MIDC funds, and we are the department responsible for requesting that funding from the MIDC to support resources for indigent defense system, and that being assigned counsel, investigator expert programming, resources for sheriff's deputies to move clients back and forth, and a host of other functions within indigent defense system reform within the county. We are also responsible for managing both assigned counsel as well as NDS. And again, the funding flows through our department from the state MIDC in order to perform these services. Our department is also responsible for ensuring compliance with MIDC standards. So if you had an opportunity to attend any of our work groups related to the standards, they are comprised of many stakeholders within the county that have input into how the compliance is met and what needs to be done on the county side in order to ensure this compliance. We also help resolve disputes related to items related to compliance. And that includes directing current counsel to the court for vouchering and assignment issues. And that is because until our department can fully take over the functions that are currently handled by Third Circuit, we work in tandem with Third Circuit to address some of these responsibilities. Kristen, next slide, please. So to that end, we did want to just let assigned counsel know currently, if you're practicing in the county, you still must contact the court directly for any issues regarding your current assignments and your payments or vouchering. And again, that is because right now, our department does not have the capability to take on those functions. But when we do, you will certainly be notified. We will have a variety of trainings, a variety of roundtables to address the transition. But currently, we do not perform these functions. So you still must contact the court for vouchering issues. And there's the email address, if you will, accountspayable@thirdcircuitcourt.org. Or if you have assignment issues, you would make your data correction request in the system, or you can contact trial services directly. So again, we are here to help, but unfortunately, until these functions are fully transitioned out of the court, you still must rely on the court to address these current assignments as well as your current vouchering. For purposes of this roundtable today, our department is going to be taking over, at least starting out the application process. So that is why we wanted to come before you today. So if there are any questions regarding my portion of the presentation, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A and we'll try to get to them. If not, we'll go ahead and move forward with our next presenter, Viola King. Viola?
Thank you, Robin. I am going to discuss the criminal application process for the upcoming attorney roster for 2022. Kristen, can we go to thank you. So we know that we have sent out correspondence in reference to the application period being open until December 31st. We have had to change that date, and due to IT requirements, the application period is now October 31st, and it ends November the 30th of this year. This application period, although the dates are different in reference to the open and closing of the application period, it remains the same as Third Circuit, and that is that it lasts 30 days. And we also know that due to the obstacles presented by the pandemic, many attorneys have not and will not successfully be able to submit information regarding the required number of jury trials. Therefore, we have adopted the language from the MIDC standards in allowing alternate documentation, such as motion practice, consistent with the high quality criminal representation, which would also qualify the attorneys to receive assignments from the relevant tiers. For example, the attorneys can upload and attach motions, transcripts, register of actions, briefs in support of motions to qualify. IT requirements, I'm going to go back because I don't want people to believe that the IT requirement that caused us to change the date for the application period belongs to our own IT manager, Geo Tynes. When I say the IT requirements, I'm speaking of the IT at the Third Judicial Circuit Court. They need the attorney roster list prior to the end of the year. Thus, we had to change the application dates. Does that help, Geo?
Thank you, Viola.
You're welcome. So next slide, please. Thank you. Another change that we've made to the application process is if the attorney has served as second chair. Previously, you had to submit some kind of written documentation from lead counsel. In the alternative, our office is only requesting that you provide the name, email address, and telephone number for lead counsel, and our office will reach out to that lead counsel and verify your service as second chair. One of our big changes is that there will be an assignment of investigators to Tier 1 and Tier 2 offenses. I'm sure you guys can see that from 48 hours of assignment, investigator, expert, administrator is going to reach out to that assigned counsel to assist in the selection of an investigator for that offense or those offenses. Let's go. Thank you, Kristen. However, assigned counsel will have the choice to opt out of investigator usage, thus needing to provide a detailed explanation on the request for investigator services opt-out form. This policy is going to be effective on or after January 1st. The new form is available via our website, and this does not preclude attorneys assigned to Tier 3 and 4 offenses to use the investigator expert program. Another new addition to the application process is the mandatory orientation for attorneys applying for the first time to Wayne County. If attorneys are brand new to Wayne County system, they will be required to attend a mandatory orientation. This orientation is going to cover events or topics, I should say, from arrest through conviction, the inner workings of obtaining assignments, vouchering, and tips on pretrial practice in Wayne County. Orientation is going to be recorded so that in the event an attorney has an unavoidable conflict, they can still review the orientation at a later date. Attorneys who have received assignments, that's okay, you can stay here, Kristen. Attorneys who have received assignments through Wayne County are not required to attend the mandatory orientation, but they are always welcome to attend. I want to add a little additional information to this incomplete application. The incomplete applications will be rejected. That means that required documentation has not been attached or uploaded with the application. But I want to add that the attorney will receive notice along with an explanation as to the reasons for the rejection. The attorney may submit the required documentation during the application time period. So that allows the attorney to cure that defect in the application. In addition, in case the applicant lacks the required training, because we understand that there is correspondence stating that you had until December 31st. That date cannot change. That is the date that is required by MIDC to complete the required training. But in case the applicant lacks the required training only, even though you will receive a rejection from the department at the time when the application is submitted, when you complete that required training by December 31st, and the training has been verified with the training director, the attorney's eligibility will be added to the roster. Our office has assumed the application and the eligibility for the assignment process. However, the current LAO will remain in place until rescinded. Piggybacking off of the director's earlier statement, our office has assumed the application eligibility for the attorneys. The appointment and payment remains with the court. That concludes my portion of the presentation. I thought we were going to have Jill walk them through the application process prior to your
believe so.
training update. I don't know if you
don't
guys
think we
still
had a
want to do
slide
like
for that. So Hi, everyone. My name is Jill Tynes. I am the IT manager for IDSD. I am going to try and take you through what I hope will be short demo of what we would like the application process to look like. So let me just pull up my screen. And if anyone has trouble viewing it, please let us know in chat. So which screen do we have up? Because I don't see my little share screen window here. Make sure I actually have the right screen up. I apologize. So does everyone see waynecounty.com?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we did send the direct link to our space in waynecounty.com in our email blast, but if you're not on our email blast, please first of all email us at idsdwayne@waynecounty.com to get added. Just in case you do not have that link, you can go to waynecounty.com, the homepage by itself, and expand our little department menu. We are under a department, not an elected office, and we are under Indigent Defense Services. So right on our homepage, you'll see a little bit more about us once it takes a second to load. We do have our webinar links here as well. If you go to resources, you can go to our apply to our attorney roster page. Once this pulls up, we have a couple of things that we want to highlight on this page specifically. We have our links to where the application will live up at the top. And then we have a couple of notes about how you can do some self-check on your training, how to contact us if you have questions about the qualification process, timeline, or anything else. And then we actually have a document upload form. So this is where we're kind of ask you to upload any supplemental information, since our application, first of all, is not live until October 31st, but also this is a good way for you to be able to upload anything if you need additional without having to submit a full second application if you need to provide anything additional. So this will simply ask you for your first and last name, email address, and bar number so that we can always make sure we're associating the right content to the appropriate individual. So if you were to click one of our links, either apply to our roster by clicking this button, or we also have it here in this information box, it will take you to where our application will live. However, it is not open for application until October 31st. So you'll just see this page. I'm going to now pull you over to actually my backend view of what it will look like. And we have a preview here. So this is available on both computers and tablets and mobile. So no matter where you are, this will work for you. So if you're more comfortable filling it out on your phone, cool. But it will take you through all of the questions that it's going to ask you. So I'm going to try and fill this out quickly as if I were an attorney, though I'm not. But we are going to ask for your first and last name are mandatory. Your birth date, I am just going to be arbitrarily selected for today. We do need an email address because that is how we are contacting most folks, especially when it comes to if we need additional information or we need clarity. So try and have that ready. If you have multiple, we will also accept multiple email addresses if that's what works for you, or if you have a legal assistant that you want to have us contact. We request a business address. I believe Viola has spoken on residency as it applies or does not apply to eligibility, but we just need to have a physical address. So we made the business address the mandatory one. And then bar number, we'll only accept numbers. I am not an attorney, so I'm just going to put in a lot of zeros. And then again, primary phone number, we like to have multiple methods to communicate with folks. So, and then again, you can have secondary. So we have this broken out so that you aren't overloaded with all of the questions in one page. Because the next one is the actual qualification information. And we wanted to make sure that we had everything outlined on the same page for you. So if you're selecting which tiers you want to apply for, you can see which qualifications are going to be applied in terms of education, continuing legal education. So we have these descriptions here for you as well, and then just simply select which ones you want to take cases for. We do need to ask how long you've been a member of the state bar. I am again going to just arbitrarily select a date because I am not an attorney, so I don't know what would be an appropriate one to select. And then how long have you been practicing criminal defense? 2 or less, more than 2. And then some of these questions will drive further requests for clarification. So do you have further experience might be one of them. not always, but like this fluent in a second language, we're going to ask which languages you are fluent in. Similarly, are you certified in American Sign Language? Yes or no? And then have you received criminal I apologize, stumbling over my words. Do you receive criminal assignments in any other jurisdiction? If you answer yes, we are going to want to know where. Other things that we've kind of taken straight from the previous applications from the Third Circuit Court are any disciplinary history. Again, if you select yes on some of these, they will ask for further information. Not necessarily always, but we also have free text boxes to try and ask for additional clarity on any of these questions. Same thing if you've withdrawn or if you've not, just put not applicable if there is a box that is saying that you can't move forward. This red star does mean it's a mandatory question, so we do require an answer. Now, here's where it gets a little bit meatier, is where we're going to ask, is there any additional background or legal experience that you'd like us to consider? So we have further questions that are specific on, for tier 1 cases, please provide CTNs or quality defense that you provided. And that comes in this next section. So do you have second chair experience? If yes, we're going to ask for who was first chair, can you provide our contact information, and we're going to follow up with them directly. If you're applying to tier 1, indicate your experience in the number of jury trials. That is, again, we are accepting additional background on that. So that's where we're going to come in and ask for the CTN and defendant's name. And we're going to request some supplemental documentation back on that previous form that you would have navigated to from our website. You can submit multiple of these if you have more than the number of uploads it will allow you to have, just as a quick FYI. So none of these are considered mandatory by the application simply because it's a technical limitation. If you are applying to a tier, please answer the question related to that tier. We can't enforce it because it will prevent you from moving forward if you don't answer a question that doesn't apply. So once you finish this, we simply have a couple of acknowledgements that we really need to have you accept that you understand. So we need to have you, in order to proceed, we need to know that you understand if you're applying for the first time, the 2022 year, that there is a mandatory orientation. And then we have another, you certify that you will comply with the policies and everything that we've put in place. These only have one answer, and they are mandatory. So if you cannot affirm that you understand and you agree, then you won't be able to proceed forward with the rest of the application. So finally, once you've read and accepted and affirmed those statements, we will simply ask for you to re-enter and just type your name and P number just to confirm that it's one extra step that we want to make sure that you are the person affirming and understanding that. So once you get that through, it's giving me an error because we don't accept responses yet. I'm sorry. But once you're done with that, you can hit submit. Because this will actually open in a separate tab while you've been going through and we've asked for supplemental information, you can actually still also be on this page uploading whatever background evidence that you have related to your tier experience. On that note, I'm going to leave my screen up for a hot second, take a breath, and check the chat, or ask Kristen to flag any questions that are out there for me on this. Yes.
Jill, thank you. So one of the questions, and we'll work our way back. There was a question in the chat about this application being, let me see if I can see here, the attorney application for, let's see, I can't find it, but one of the questions was this, the agency resources attorney application. And I just want to, for clarity's sake, say what Jill is presenting is the application that will be live on the Indigent Defense Services website starting October 31st. So if you go to the homepage of Wayne County, if you find the IDSD department, the application itself, you'll see everything that you need in order to actually go to the actual application. So it will be made very clear. There should be no question about it once it's live. Because it's not live, you are not able to actually go into the application and start the process. But rest assured, once that October 31st date comes, it will be live. You will be able to access both that and the separate form upload or supplemental document upload as well. There are a couple of questions in chat that I think we should address right now. One of them was how far back do we need to go with the trial, withdrawal, and removal information? The question is open-ended. We need as much information as possible for any trials that you, or cases where you may have been withdrawn or removed. And again, these are historical questions on some of these. So as far back, if you ever been removed, you need to explain that to us and let us know. There is a question regarding, can you explain further regarding the investigator assignment protocol? Most of the time, attorneys will not receive discovery within 48 hours of the appointment to be able to review the information that may indicate different potential issues that will require an investigator for the case. Angela, did you want to take that one?
Sure, I did. Thank you, Robin. So that everybody knows, we don't expect you to complete the investigation on the second or third day. We just would recommend that you have an investigator assigned, and being mindful that MIDC Standard 2 requires that you have a consultation with your client within 72 hours. And so even if you don't have discovery, you very well may be able to find out from your client where they were arrested and send that investigator out to see if there is video. You don't have to have full discovery to begin the process, and the investigation is expected to be ongoing. And so what we're just asking you to do is remember that sometimes your clients, they never choose the public defender. So coming to the table with an investigator could lend to building trust. And so it is never too soon to start. Of course, the more information you have, the better, but do not let that delay you getting started on the case and building the relationship and investigating the scene.
Thank you, Angela.
Can I add one thing?
Sure.
So that everybody knows, there is a drop down in the payment portion for you to submit your certification of the initial consultation. Please do that. Those monies are sitting there because some have not even been requesting it. So get that initial consultation in and submit for the payment.
Thank you, Angela. There is another question, Jill, before you continue. To stay on tier 1, how many prior trials must the applicant have conducted and how long ago? And of course, the person requesting the question or asking the question saying hopefully longer than past 5 years, because not many have had jury trials in the past year and a half. Viola, did you want to take that one?
Yeah. That was the whole purpose of us requesting alternate documentation, Mr. Harris, is so that you don't have to indicate the number of jury trials. You can upload additional documents to show high quality representation, such as, again, the motions, register of actions, transcripts from the preliminary hearing, those sort of documents. Are you going to tier 1, Jill?
Yes, I was trying to find tier 1. So we separated jury trials and high quality criminal trial representation because of that consideration. We want to know if you have had jury trials in the past, however long, please identify that. But then if there are other examples that you'd like to submit in lieu of or in addition to account for some of the inabilities to have jury trials due to COVID, we've given some examples from the past 5 years that you can submit instead. So whether it's motion practice, preliminary exams, anything that kind of enhances your response. Is that fair?
Does that answer the question, Mr. Harris? I'm hoping it does.
That's all I can see right now in the question and answer, the chat box. But again, for the participants, please feel free. You can drop questions as we go along, and we'll certainly try to answer them as we get them for sure. If there aren't any additional questions for the application, We do have some additional information we want to share from the remaining panelists. But again, we will have the application live on the 31st. You will certainly be able to see the application. It is not difficult to fill out. It's not difficult to upload documentation. And in addition to us presenting this today, we will have this webinar available for review on the website, and we will be presenting the same information to assigned counsel on October 26th. So if you want to attend that webinar again, just so you can have this information fresh again, please feel free. But it's going to be recorded, it's going to be posted, and we will keep this information available so that you have a clear understanding come October 31st when it's time to apply. There is one more question before, well, Kristen, actually it's about CAP class, so maybe this is a good time for you to go ahead and get started.
Well, thank you everyone for joining. I just wanted to cover some training updates and provide some information and then answer any questions that you may have. Big changes, I think, but I think everything has been simplified. I think it's easier for everyone to do and make sure that you have met all of your Wayne County requirements as well as your MIDC requirements. Everyone who receives assigned cases in Wayne County must complete 12 hours of training, MIDC approved training every calendar year. So to apply, you just want to have those 12 hours relevant to criminal defense. There's a variety of topics to choose from. Those are all listed on the CAP website. They're here, starting from being watched from January 1st through your application date. Now, as Viola mentioned, you can apply and make sure you get your application done and submitted before November 30th. But if the only thing holding you up is training, still apply. As long as you get that training done before December 31st, you're okay. It has to be done by December 31st. This is a hard deadline. It's from the MIDC. So a few folks may remember as of last year that if you are short, even for MIDC purposes, you cannot receive assignments in 2022. So this December 31st deadline is very important and crucial. For tiers 1 and 2 for your application, of those 12 hours, for tier 1, you're going to want to make sure you take one course relevant to trying homicide cases. And for tier 2, which is child abuse and CSC cases, one course in either any of the following: Daubert, DNA, other acts evidence, or examination of voir dire and CSC or child abuse cases. If you have a question about whether or not a course qualifies for this, please always feel free to reach out. I tried to list on the CAP website when a course qualified for that required tier 1 or tier 2 course. I'm also including it in my training newsletter, and I'm also happy to review a course for you to see if that might qualify. So for example, if you took a self-defense case from CDAM through Oakland County, that would be fine for your tier 1 course. There's a variety of options here. If you have any questions, you can always feel free to reach out and I can let you know. If it's something provided by Wayne County, check the CAP website. Next to the training, I do specify if it counts towards that required course. Acceptable training. You can get your training from a variety of sources. I hope that you come see me at one of my webinars or one of our brown bags, but you're also feel free to use your training hours from other MIDC approved sources. That includes training from the State Appellate Defender Office, CDAM, the NAPD, NACDL, and more. As long as it is MIDC approved, meaning applicable to criminal defense in Michigan, you feel free to take from another source. Obviously, anything that we put on, we encourage you to go to any of our seminars, like those that joined me for the Gideon's Promise training, the NACDL investigator and expert training that's still going on. You can still register for that. That does count for your hours. A variety of sources. The only thing I want to make sure that you're clear about is that live or recorded is fine. But if it's recorded training that you didn't attend live, it must have been recorded within the last 3 years and you haven't seen it already. So if you're watching a training from 2000, that's not going to count, but one from this past year is fine. You must make sure you submit the proof of that training to me, and I'll talk about that in one moment, but I just wanted to make clear that we will continue to provide at least 12 webinar style trainings. This is what historically has been thought about with CAP. They're generally about 2 hours. The expected time for those trainings is posted next to the listing on the CAP website. Those are all webinar style. They're going to be a lot of like lectures, updates on the law, things like that. Sometimes I'll make you interact with me and put in the chat answers, things like that. But there'll also be 12 small group style trainings. Those are going to be our brown bags. Those can be skills training. They could be panelist discussions, a variety of different small group type trainings. And there's a bunch of those coming up. So feel free to just check the CAP website. And I always post the upcoming webinars and the brown bags there. Also, throughout the year, we may offer other conferences and seminars. For example, there was a DNA seminar we offered, the NACDL one, the Gideon's Promise, and there's going to be a few additional ones coming up in the spring. So please check the website or my newsletter to see information about that. If you are new to criminal defense in Michigan, meaning 2 years or less, you are required to do at least one skills course. This is training where you have to stand up, interact, try your hand at opening, cross-examination, etc. This is required by the MIDC, and you must, if you are on the assigned counsel list, you must complete this training. What will happen is if you're applying for the list for the first time, you'll want to specify, that 2-year mark that Jill mentioned. And then Wayne County will provide that skills training for you. Usually we do this through the evidence boot camps from CDAM, the Trial Skills College. Other skills training is acceptable. Keely Blanchard puts on a bunch that count as well. If you do not complete your skills training by the end of that year that you're on the assigned counsel list, you cannot receive cases the next year. So if you were, for example, you're a prosecutor and you decided to switch teams to the good guys, get on the assigned counsel list in 2021, you need to have that skills training done by December 31st, or you cannot receive cases in 2022. I cannot emphasize this enough. This is a very hard and fast rule. If you are 2 years or less practicing criminal defense in Michigan, you please reach out to me ASAP. These classes do fill up quickly. I've tried to reach out to all of you that I believe qualify with phone calls or emails. But if you have not contacted me back, please do so quickly. To apply to get on the list, if you're in that 2-year group, you don't have to have that skills done ahead of time, but you want to make sure that once you're on the list, you do complete those skills hours. So please let me know if that applies to you. Locating training. How do we find out what training is available? Please always check capwayne.org. I will list all of the upcoming brown bags CAP webinars there, as well as conferences and other trainings that we provide. If you want to look for recordings of trainings that happened already this year, there is a tab at the top that says schedule, and in the drop down, it'll say 2020 to 21 training or 2019. All the years are archived there. You can check there for the recorded training. I am trying to make sure that this training is available for the defense community and defense team members. So it is password protected, but you can just email me, and then I can actually send you directly any handouts from that training, give you any updates if the law has changed, that kind of thing. So just you can find recorded training there. Also, if you're not on my newsletter list, I do email out case law updates, as well as upcoming training from a variety of sources, ours as well as external training. If you aren't on the email list already and you would like to be added, please just let me know. I will add you to that. We also post announcements in that newsletter as well. When you have completed your training or after each training session, you can report your training by just forwarding me the CLE forms, or if it's easier, there is a survey form. That link is posted on capwayne.org under the tab that says how to report training, and then you can just fill that out. Before you apply, it would be helpful to make sure that you have recorded all of your training with me, just so that I can quickly verify your training. If you have done the training earlier in this year and hadn't recorded it yet. There's also some other resources I wanted to make sure you are aware of. Everyone that's on the assigned counsel list will have their SATO memberships renewed. That has already been sent to SATO. So if you are currently on the assigned counsel list for Wayne, I've already sent our list of our roster over to SATO for renewal for 2021 to 2022. If you're applying for the list for the first time, once I get that final list, I will send a second batch over to SATO to get you signed up for that. The State Appellate Defender Office's Criminal Defense Resource Center has a brief bank that is searchable. It has a U forum, which is searchable for user pleadings. It has case law updates, training, other things that may be helpful for you in your practice. We also get you NAPD memberships. That is set up through me. For those that are on the list, you should have already had that set up for you. If that has not been the case and you do not have access, please email me. I'll make sure that you get set up now. And then when you're new to the list in January, I'll make sure to add you to that as well. NAPD is a defense community for defense attorneys, team members, social workers, and investigators. They have meetups where you can talk and brainstorm through issues. There's archive training available on their My Gideon page. It also includes handouts, resources, and sometimes model pleadings. So let me know if you are on the Assign Counsel list and do not have access to that. I can get you added today. That is it for training, but I'm going to stop and make sure that there aren't any questions about training.
Kristen, there are a couple in the chat box there.
Okay. There is a question that says, is CAP class attendance confirmation information that is listed in the agency resources section on Third Circuit website up to date and reported to your department as CAP classes attended? Also, is there a way members can print out their completed training in thirdcircuit.org? So Rita, this is a really good question. So I will say that if you want your training verified for other counties, Macomb County, Oakland County, just message me, because even MIDC, for example, won't take the printouts from Third Circuit because it lists the application year there and not the actual date that it was attended. So I'm asking folks that when they are done with their 12 hours for the year, or however much training you're going to be doing, just shoot me an email then. And I've been sending out certificates to send directly to the attorney that says you have this many hours in Wayne County and completed on the training that you've done and the date. And then I'll just copy Rick from Macomb or Mary from Oakland or wherever else you need sent it. 36th District Court automatically verifies training through me, as does the Michigan Assign Counsel System, like the MAX program. So if you need training verified for that, Sabrina is automatically updated, as are Ram and Ruth from 36. Other folks, just reach out to me. I'll get you a certificate. And I would just ask that you wait till you're done so I can send it to them all at once. And then for CAP attendance confirmation, I have been uploading all of the CAP and brown bag attendance there. In the future, if there's a switch to a different CMS program, there may be a different way that that's going to be reported. But if you just need your training verified for other counties or jurisdictions, just reach out. I send all of that to MIDC automatically, but I know that some of the other counties and courts want it verified. And if that doesn't answer your question, please feel free to reach out or email me. I'll help you walk through that. What is the total amount of seminars that are mandatory? There is not a limited, there's not a mandatory number of seminars anymore. It is 12 hours. It is based on the hour length that the training takes in full 15-minute increments. So if a training takes 1 hour and 59 minutes, that's 1.75 hours. I try to keep track of the time and we try to get to the full increments, but it's based on CLE hours that attended in full 15-minute increments. You are just required to do 12 hours. So for example, on the question about this, you could do 4 CAP webinars that would give you 8 hours and 4 small groups. You could do just the NACDL training. That's going to be at least 16 hours for you just based on that. All of the folks that I just spent the last 4 days with Gideon's Promise, just learning about each other in criminal defense, you've got your hours. So it's just a matter of 12 hours. Feel free to take whichever seminars, brown bags groups are the most beneficial for you and your clients. Any other questions about training? Feel free to reach out to me at klavoy@ndsdetroit.org if you would like me to pre-screen your training for you. I'm happy to do that. If you need a certificate for another jurisdiction. And also a last pitch, please also reach out to Erin Van Kampen, evankampen@ndsdetroit.org. She is our new research and training attorney. She's happy to provide cases, walk through things with you, talk about, brainstorm other cases. So feel free to reach out to her as well. So hope everyone is well, and thanks for listening.
Thanks, Kristen. And just Kristen, for one point of clarity for tier 1 and tier 2 attorneys, out of the 12 hours that they need to attend, if they are eligible or want to be eligible for those tiers, that 12 hours would have to include a course from that's relevant to that tier. Is that correct?
That is correct. So if you're taking homicide cases, you're taking tier 1 cases, you could do the 2-hour webinar that's coming up on killer motions, for example, and then make sure you get 10 hours of criminal defense related training. But one of those courses that you take must be relevant to tier 1. And for tier 2, make sure you take, for example, the litigating CSC cases that talks about other acts and examination issues and voir dire for CSC cases to be on tier 2. So of your 12 hours, one course should be related to homicide cases for tier 1, and one course related to the list that I went over for tier 2 if you want to be on all of the lists.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions in the question and answer box or in the chat. So at this time, we'll turn it over to Angela and Neil for investigator expert updates. And again, please feel free to drop your questions. We will certainly answer them throughout the process.
First slide, please, Kristen. Neil.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Neil Lighthouser, and some of you certainly are already familiar with what the program started with in the pilot program and then through the OPDS and then the IDSD. What we're trying to do is to make the attorneys effective, more effective. We certainly know that the bar is full of effective attorneys. What we can do though now is give you the additional resources to get onto more of a level playing field with the prosecution. They've always had access to the investigators and experts on a continuing basis and the funding to do that, whereas the defense hasn't. We do now, and that's what we can provide, and we encourage all the attorneys early on in the case to use the program. Get an investigator. If you need an expert at some point in there, get an expert. And we are available to help you do that. And that's the essence of the standard 3, is to make the attorneys more effective and ultimately to provide the better representation to the client. Standard 5 is also an essential one because that provides the independence where you don't have to file a motion in the court, letting everybody know that you need an investigator or giving an offer of proof in open court why you need an expert. You can contact Angela or I confidentially. It's between us. We don't kiss and tell. If you have questions, you can call, you can email. We're certainly available almost all the time. And we can help if you do have questions about what type of an investigator. Certain ones may have better expertise in certain areas, and the same with experts. Obviously, the world's full of experts now, but you may need a specific one, and we can help and facilitate getting one and getting the expert paid. I need to stress that you have to request ahead of time the expert or the investigator and have that approved. If you just do it on your own and not through us, later, if you try to get the expert or investigator paid, we may not pay it. I don't have more. Angela, did you want to follow up on that?
No, I hope that everybody's had an opportunity to read the slides and digest that information. And this PowerPoint is going to be available afterwards. So we can go to the next slide, Kristen. Thank you. So 2 reminders. 1, the services provided through our program are confidential unless defense counsel discloses them. That means that should you have your client take a polygraph and he fails miserably, the judge doesn't know, and it still gives you an option of having a bench trial. And so please keep secret communications secret. Next slide. On our forms, one of the most important cells of information is the CTN. So I'm going to go through finding that information. You will Notice that sometimes if you don't have the CTN entered correctly, the form may give you a little pushback when you try to print or save it. That is because the CTN, the case tracking number, is the most important number. If you have a circuit case number, please include that, but do not exclude the CTN. And for those that may need to find it, you can go to Odyssey using the CMS ATT as the ID. You give us a call, we'll give you the password, but use the secured entry into Odyssey, and you will see there on the right, 4 column or 4 lines down, 5 lines down, you'll see the case tracking number. Every case starts with a case tracking number. So that is the number we need. It is 8 digits dash, whether your client is defendant 1, 2, or 3. It is also the same number that you use for vouchering. So please include that number. Neil did indicate that we are asking you to please get the services approved and share the approval with your investigator or expert. Many of them, if not all of them, have been advised not to do work for you until they have an approval in hand. That is their guarantee that they're going to get paid. Neil and I are available. You can call us day or night. I received a call today. The judge just told me I need to find my client today. So we dispatched an investigator to find that client. Our phone numbers, mine is 313-610-7519. Neil's number is 248-219-7034. If you have an urgent need.
35.
Oh, 35. I'm sorry, I can't read my own writing. Let me say that again for accuracy. 248-219-7035. If you have urgent need, let us know. Our guidelines say that we will return the approval within 24 hours, but many of you should know it's 15 minutes. So use our service. And finally, you are our first stop for accuracy when your vendors, investigators, and experts are requesting payment. Please review those requests for payment for accuracy, and please submit them to us timely. We don't want investigators and experts to decline to work for us because one attorney just would not get them paid. And so please, if your vendors are requesting payment, send them directly to us. And if you need help finding an expert, you may want to reach out to some of the trainers from the training that you've attended, or you can call Neil and myself. We'd be glad to help you find one. And our resource list is on our website for both investigators, including their bios and the expert list. So thank you for attention, and thank you for using the service. It is critical.
Angela, there's a question about repeating the phone numbers again for you and Neil.
I absolutely will. My number is 313-610-7519. And Mr. Lighthouser's number is 248-219-7035.
Thank you, Angela. And again, if you have additional questions, we have a few minutes left before 2 p.m. Please feel free to ask in the chat box or in the Q&A box. The contact information is available on the screen now. If you have questions regarding generalized MIDC compliance or departmental questions related to indigent defense services, please feel free to email us. Also, please save that email address. This is where we send you e-blasts about trainings or information about as this roundtable has occurred, our Zoom links. So please, please, please save this email address so that it does not go to spam. If you have direct questions about the Investigator Expert Program and to submit your Investigator Expert documentation, that email address is also available. If you have training questions, you can contact Kristen directly, call or email for your updated or for your information. And then again, the current county website for our department is located below. And the easiest way to find it is simply either to go to waynecounty.com and find our department. You can Google our department, it'll take you right to us. But please be advised that that is where the criminal application will be available when it becomes live. Just by way of update again, we will be repeating this webinar live and in person on October the 26th at noon. We will also make this particular webinar available on the IDSD website for your review, as well as the PowerPoint slides. And I will be sending out an email shortly, just correcting the application period. Because as Viola stated, there will be open October 31st and then closure on November 30th. But your training is, you're welcome to continue your training until December 31st. But we just ask that you apply during the application period. And we will send that out in an email form so that you have it at your disposal. So we have a few minutes left. If there are any other questions, please feel free to drop them. Panelists, if there's anything additional you wish to add, please feel free.
There was an original brown bag that we did on the importance of experts and investigators, as well as the directions and the step-by-step on how to do that with the last roundtable. Those were put together in a video that is available on capwayne.org under the other resources tab. So if you have any questions about the process, Angela and Neil did a good job walking through the step-by-step. So if you have any questions, I would direct you to that video.
Oh, one more thing too. People should use the newer forms that are on the IDSD website. If you still have pilot program forms or OPDS forms, delete them, discard them. We don't want them. Just use the newer forms, please. Thank you.
All right. Well, with that being said, we're just 2 minutes shy of 2 p.m. Again, this information will be made available. And I just want to stress, we will be doing the webinar again on October 26th. So please mark your calendars. We will send out an email reminder with the Zoom link. Please pass this information along to colleagues that are either currently on the roster or who may be interested in practicing in Wayne County. We are looking at a brand new day here, folks, and we appreciate your patience as our department takes over the processes that you've been used to within Third Circuit. So we thank you for your time today, and we look forward to working with each of you in the future.